Good evening and welcome to News at 10, our last bulletin for the day. I'm Stephen and we're streaming live on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. Let's start with a run through the major news highlights of the day. Government is to set up a 5-member committee to investigate the killing of some 7 suspected armed robbers by the police in the Ashanti region. Inner City and Zongo Development Minister Alhaji Abubakar Boniface Sadiq made this known after meeting with families of the deceased in Kumasi. Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo says recommendations of the 5-member committee will be swiftly implemented to promote peace. He gave the assurance at Savlugu in the northern region during his tour of the region. And Kente weavers in Kwabre in the Ashanti region wants the establishment of a yarn factory to reduce the cost of producing the traditional cloth. They made the request ahead of the Maiden Kwabre Ahwene Festival intended to boost trade and promote tourism in the district. And Minister in charge of Tertiary Education, Professor Kwesi Yanka, has blamed the falling standard of education in the Aguna East and West districts of the Central region to the upsurge in internet fraud, popularly referred to as Sakawa. Professor Yanka was speaking on the sidelines of a forum at Aguna Swedru on issues affecting education in the 2 districts. On in sports, boxing legend Azuma Nelson has been honored by the World Boxing Council WBC and the World Boxing League WBL with special belts. It was acknowledged on Saturday night at the Bukom Boxing Arena as part of activities to mark his 60th birthday. Those are our major news highlights. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook and on 3news.com. TV3 is also live on DSTV channel 279. Let's start with our first story, where a survey conducted by the World Vision Ghana in the Saboba district of the northern region has revealed that 34% of caregivers believe child marriage is acceptable. The survey also showed that over 3,000 girls under 18 years in the district have been married off, whilst over 4,000 become victims of child labor. Here's a report by Christopher Mwako.
Child marriage is on a rise in the Saboba district of the northern region, with 41% of girls under 18 as victims. According to the Assistant District Administrator of the Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Prosper Begingma, parents admit to the practice due to the financial benefit they gain, citing fierce resistance and threat from residents anytime attempts are made to address such issues.
When the case is reported to the commission, when you try to take the matter up, the people will come back and then plead. Sometimes when you send the case to the police or maybe for them to prepare them for prosecution, they are not volunteer to what? Give evidence, because they don't have even the birth certificate or the birth dates or the ages of their children.
To curb the practice, World Vision has constituted a district child protection committee to advocate and report issues of child abuse to the police.
Leaders are equally disappointing us. They don't preach the good news to the families, they don't preach the good news to the children, and this is helping them to neglect their responsibilities as parents and children. We want you to take a promise today that in my sermon I will talk about end child marriage.
The Northern Regional Operations Manager for World Vision asked parents to support in addressing the issue which is affecting the education of their children. The 5-year campaign, dubbed It Takes a World to End Violence Against Children, is intended to contribute to the reduction in child marriage by 50% through increased advocacy and access to education by the girl child.
And some nurses were mufti to work, while others stick to their official uniforms either in or outside the hospital. Kwabenedu Jemfi has been finding out the rationale behind this trend.
It's 2 p.m. on a Friday. Nurses at all government hospitals are either about to close or start work. After approaching some of them, I was told nurses in Mufti always have their uniforms to change once they enter the hospital. So what is their motivation for wearing their uniforms in public places? Is it to attract attention or to prove that they are associated to the noble profession?
We are not actually supposed to wear the uniform and walk in town, buy stuff. So probably they want to buy some other things, they want to go to the market or something. So then what they do is then they have to change, or probably they are going somewhere.
I choose to put on my house attire because I think there are infections on the ward and I don't want to carry that to the house.
Probably I'm late or something. I wouldn't want to come and change before I go to work, so I'll just wear it from the house.
President of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association, Kweku Asante Krobia, explained, though not a written policy, it is always advisable for nurses to wear their uniforms only when they are carrying out their duties.
In our parlance, we call it a nosocomial infection. The likelihood that you pick this infection from the ward and you can take it to the public, where probably you have finished work, you're going home and you sit in a trotro or taxi. That one you can transfer to members of the public, and that is why I'm saying it makes a lot of sense to say that you may have to put it off you when you finish work in the ward. And so whilst the nurse goes into her apron and even the cap that is wearing, it's supposed to take away a considerable amount of infection-causing agents.
But our checks in some hospitals showed that not all nurses even wear their aprons and caps when on duty. Mrs. Benedicta Kisi practiced for 45 years as a general nurse and a midwife, both in and outside Ghana, and currently runs her own private hospital in Accra. She explained lack of strict supervision on the part of nurses managers has resulted in this practice.
So if the matron is strict, you know that when you finish work, you have to change your uniforms before you go. And they have some people who are orderlies who take care of the uniforms for us. You never take them home. You wash them in the hospital because the hospital has a laundry like Kolebu. Formally, all nurses have their linen bag that you can send your bag to the laundry in the Kolebu, and after some time you go and collect it.
The GRNMA president admitted the practice has worked better in hospitals where there are enough changing rooms and lockers. Nurses I encountered admitted there are enough lockers in their various hospitals to enable them keep their healthcare attire at the hospital, but this particular nurse would simply not change for personal reasons.
I think it's hectic for me, like having to change. I don't have that time because I wear my uniform from home. That's why I sew this one, to protect the uniform.
So far, there are no statistics to prove how nurses have over the years transferred any form of bacteria to the public, but Kweku Asante Krobia says this is a worrying trend which should be prevented. Kwabenedu Jemfi, TV3.
And I'm Stephen Anti. This is News at 10. We're streaming live on Facebook and on 3news.com, and we are coming to you from the News Hub at Adesawe, Kanda. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, the Forestry Commission has suspended all reclamation exercises in forest reserves across the country. According to the Commission, the move is to allow for review and stock taking of operations of private contractors engaged in the reclamation exercise. Here's a report by Benjamin Adu.
The reclamation exercise became necessary following the devastation caused with the country's forest reserves by the illegal miners. The Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, Kwadwo Owusu-Afriyie, at a meeting with the Ashanti Regional House of Chiefs, announced the suspension of the reclamation exercise. He observed the abuse of authorization notes and use of letters to illegally mine in the forest.
Most of them have not been doing things in accordance with the letters and the contract that we have entered with them. I have consequently withdrawn all letters and all permits given to such companies.
Officials of the Forestry Commission were invited to brief the Regional House of Chiefs on the payment and sharing formula of timber royalties. Owusu-Afriyie said measures have been put in place to prevent delays in releasing timber royalties.
We had to calculate what at any given moment of time, the amount of money that we receive, and then the 25% that should come to the Nananum and for the stool, and that is precisely for them.
Per the formula of sharing royalties, district assemblies take a chunk of 55%, whilst the administrator of stool lands, the traditional stools, and the traditional councils share the rest. The Asantehene Otumfuo II said it is important for traditional authorities to question how district assemblies spend their 55% share on development. The Asantehene called for greater collaboration between traditional rulers and the state in the fight against illegal mining, popularly called galamsey. He said the government should appreciate the role of chiefs in protecting lands.
The galamsey that has destroyed our environment is because government does not seek the consent of chiefs before awarding concessions to mining companies. It is time government, as well as parliament, sat down with us chiefs to discuss and deliberate before the permit and mining leases are given out.
The event coincided with the swearing-in of the chief of Asante Bekwai, Nana Osei Kodwo Abebio, into the Ashanti Regional House of Chiefs.
The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, has warned mining companies against depleting the country's resources without proportional benefits. According to him, even though government is ready to provide the right operating climate, no work will be allowed without equal revenue in return.
The minister was speaking at the Ghana Manganese Company in NEWSAT in the Takwa Nsawam municipality of the Western region, where he led a joint delegation from his ministry and the Minerals Commission. The visit was to enable the team acquaint themselves with the operations of the company, assess their level of compliance with the mining law, learn at first hand their challenges and how they could be addressed. The Chief Operating Officer of the company, Benjamin Achukwashi, said the company intends to increase its production levels from 2 million tons to 4.8 million tons this year. John Peter Amewu expressed concern that the company has not demonstrated commitment to ensure there is a corresponding benefit to the state.
If your driving intention is just to increase production targets, production volumes, and take the resources out of this country, so long as I remain a minister for lands and natural resources, that depletion policy would not be allowed. I would not entertain it, because I want to see that to go along with increasing revenue for this country.
He expressed as negligible the level of development at NEWSAT, though mining of bauxite began actively in 1916.
Government for the years have lost so much, and that is why we're going from mines to make sure that the right thing is done. Corporate social responsibility, if you're really undertaking your corporate social responsibility, the road that we drive on, a distance of just about 200 meters, should not be on this state. It is unfair.
Benjamin Achukwashi assured government of its commitment to make its operations beneficial to the country.
In fact, we have a feasibility study done to come up with this road or construct a road from here to Takoradi, but it's a matter of time. We have actually set a target in terms of the Ghanaians that will be working here.
The municipal chief executive for Takwa Nsawam, Gilbert Kenneth Asma, tasked the company to team up with other mining companies to give roads in the municipality a facelift.
And the Gadangbe Council of Wulame has added its voice to the call on government to reconsider the timing of the closed fishing season. The council members believe the August date will not only impose economic hardship on the fisherfolk, but also infringe upon their traditional rituals, customs and rights.
The announcement of a closed fishing season between August 7 and September 4 has created an easy calm among fisherfolk within the fishing communities in Ghana. It is clear from all the arguments that the problem for which the closed season is being proposed is not in doubt. What appears to be the challenge is the timing for the ban. The Council of Gadangbe Wulame is adding the economic implications to the arguments so far advanced.
The researchers, did they also take into consideration the socioeconomic lives of the people who depend solely on fishing? And they considered and realized that during August, when there's bumper harvest, that was when they should rather close the season so that the people should go hungry.
President of the Council, Numo Blafo III, challenged the scientific basis that informed the government decision, blaming the dwindling fish stock on poor sanitation.
Of fish stock in our seas is not caused by the normal fishing activities by the fishermen. Rather, it is the insanitary conditions we are subjecting the sea to and other unconventional fishing practices such as...
They also expressed concern over traditional breaches, suggesting October or November for a closed season.
Homowo is celebrated in the month of August, and before it, there are several customary rites which precedes it. Inshobulemo is the purification of the sea, and Wolokomo is where selected fishermen are sent to go and catch what we refer to as chile, which is shared to some Shiawuji within Gamashi for the official Kwekwe.
Let's now go to Kwabre in the Ashanti region, where Kente weavers want the establishment of a yarn factory to reduce the cost of producing the traditional cloth. They made the request ahead of the Maiden Kwabre Ahwiniye Festival, intended to boost trade and promote tourism in the district. Here's a report by Beatrice Spielgabra.
The Kwabre enclave, bordering Bonre, Adamumase and Ebira, is noted for the weaving of kente and other Edinkra cloth. Although the weaving demands a lot of skill, both the young and old are into kente weaving, with most households owning a loom for production. Trading in kente is very lucrative, generating employment for the youth in some communities. Prices of kente are relatively cheaper here, although the weavers and traders say it could be far cheaper if the yarns are produced locally. The weavers depend on imported yarns from China, and this, they say, affects the price of the kente cloth.
Especially the trade. It's an imported goods that they imported from China. They put the taxes high on it. So it's affecting the kente business. But when the dollars come down, they can reduce it.
The municipal chief executive for Kwabre East, Nanaose Sibe Bunsu, says the assembly is pushing for the establishment of a yarn factory under the government's One District, One Factory initiative.
Kente, and then we have this wood carving at Eva, and then beads making at Dumanafo. So we decided that we bring all these crafts together, which will be celebrated annually, so that we let people know what we can produce. That one will bring more tourists to Kwabre.
First ever Kwabre Ahwiniye Festival will help stimulate both domestic and international tourism while generating income for craftsmen in the municipality.
And the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, is seeking interagency and international collaboration to help curb the social menace of tramadol abuse. The FDA believes awareness creation is critical to discouraging abuse of the drug.
The Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, was addressing a stakeholder sensitization workshop on tobacco and substance abuse in Kumasi. Representatives from Customs and Police Service, traditional authorities, media practitioners, health experts and civil society organizations were in attendance. The head of tobacco and substance abuse at the FDA, Olivia Ejekumwa Boateng, spoke on the abuse of tramadol and codeine containing cough syrups in the country. She observed tramadol abuse became an issue of interest about 2 years ago when intelligence gathered across the country pointed to scattered incidents.
In Ghana, we don't approve for anybody to peddle medicines. The medicines are not peddled. You have to have a location to be able to even sell over-the-counter medicines. Soon there will not be codeine containing cough syrups again because we are phasing that out. We'll stop using the codeine and use other formulations to help in those form cough syrups, which are good.
She pointed out the combination of tramadol and other substances, especially alcohol and hard drugs, could have fatal side effects, hence the need to collaborate and stop the abuse.
Towards the end of the year, most of the tobacco products that will have pictures. So it will have pictures of organ failure, it will have pictures of disease, whatever, so that our population that may not be able to read these warnings and understand them would then see these pictures.
The Asante Regional Director of FDA, Nora Naki Telabi, called on chemical sellers and dispensers to help in dispensing drugs based on prescriptions.
The Food and Drugs Law has sanctions or penalties for people who peddle drugs or who sell medicines that are not registered or who do not have a license to sell medicines or who do not have the requisite facilities to sell medicines.
And the Osu Shelter for Abused Children is seeking public assistance in tracing the parents of some 7 children in their custody. These children include 2 special needs children who were brought to the shelter in November last year.
The first child, 8-year-old Victor Ansa, was brought to the shelter on November 20, 2017 from Kwame Nkrumah Circle. She claimed to have come from Takrady. 13-year-old Christabel Ousu and Kweku Tafu Dobro found loitering at Makola on April 9 this year. 7-year-old Percy was found loitering at Kaneshi First Light on May 9. Bright Parkway Sinto, 13 years, a native of Siri Samraboy, was found loitering around Kaneshi First Light. The rest are 10-year-old Selom Yagili from Aveime Bato. 10-year-old Kojo Karim with special needs was found around Weja. A 10-year-old boy was also found loitering around Accra Shopping Mall. He told social worker he hails from Takrady but could not provide any further details. Anyone who knows any of these children or their relatives should please contact the Osu Shelter for Abused Children.
And that's our wrap up with News at 10. Thank you very much for making time. On behalf of the crew, good night. There is more news at 3news.com.